Happy Thursday, everybody. Thank you so much for downloading or streaming the Be Our Guest podcast. Today, we've got the replay from Sunday night's live call-in show that was Sunday night, March 2nd, 2025. Scotty G joined me and we took your calls and we continued the conversation about extinct Disney World experiences that we thought should be maybe considered to be brought back if we had the power. And Scott wasn't on that show on Friday, so we let him chime in with 4 things that he really misses that he would bring back if he had the chance. And we got some great calls and had discussions about old themed playgrounds that left core memories, as Aaron said, from Kansas City. And Eric called it with a great restaurant that he would bring back from Epcot. He's out in Connecticut. And we had some discussions about if COVID caused some of these things to go away, and if COVID hadn't happened, if some of these changes would have never happened, and just lots of fun talk on today's show. Don't forget, today's podcast brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure for no additional cost to you. So check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys are our all-stars. You make the show happen. We couldn't do it without you, and you can support the show as well, just $5 a month. And for that support, you get a bonus show called Mike in the Midwest. So come on over this week. We'd love to have you. Patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the BOGP open line for Sunday night, March 2nd, 2025. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy March to you. Yes, we've made it through January and February. We are in to March. We're going to have a good time over the next hour, taking your calls at 407-413-9395. That's 407-413-9395. But don't memorize the phone number. I'll tell you why in just a minute. We're going to have a good time, though, talking Disney. We've got a topic. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff here this tonight. So joining me, your friend and mine, hashtag Scotty G up in Michigan. Scott, what's going on?
Dude, how's it March? Like, February really flew by because it would have been 4 weeks ago today. I was at in Vegas for the conference. You were doing the Disneyland half marathon.
Oh,
how was that a month ago? That makes
crazy.
no sense to me.
I know, seriously.
Yeah.
It's it seems like February took forever, but March Madness is upon us.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm not mad about it because
No,
like
me neither.
February is my least favorite month
I know,
to get us
done.
to longer days, warmer weather, March Madness. Like, it's almost here. And I'm wearing all Alani gear today because I leave for Hawaii in 19 days.
That is so
Oh my
sweet,
gosh.
man. That is so sweet. Get to go back to the, because I've never been there. I mean, I can only imagine how awesome it is to get out to the islands. Oh my
Honestly,
gosh.
we're gonna have some friends there too, but like seeing Emily like play her instrument senior year, like just a couple months away from graduation and playing like at Pearl Harbor, that's like on our second day, then like the vacation could be over after that for me. Like that's just gonna be a chilling, super cool moment for sure.
I do like, though, because you're like such a, because the time zones are so different when you're there. I have you on Find My Friends. I get to follow you all over these cool places. That is one of the cool things, like while I'm working. That's what we always do when you're on vacation. I'm always following you in that.
Oh, yeah.
I get a huge kick out of that because especially places I've never been like that. So I am looking forward to it. It'd be much better to be out there with you, but,
It would be fun to have you.
Someday,
Yes.
someday.
But I just booked our hotel room. Like, because I had like the Alani dates booked, like after Emily's done with the band stuff, but me and Liz didn't have anything booked. And I was like, oh, we leave in like 3 weeks. We should probably figure that out. So I got something reserved now. So that's nice. And then, so now we can just count down the days until we get out there.
And speaking of, I just made our final payment for the Be Our Guest podcast cruise. That is coming up on us very quickly. I mean, it's just, again, time is marching on. The Be Our Guest podcast cruise coming up July 6th to the 11th. We're sailing on the Disney Magic this time. We've done podcast cruises on the Dream. We've done podcast cruises on the Fantasy. We've done podcast cruises on the Wish. We never did one on the Wonder. I've sailed the Wonder, but we've never done one on the Wonder as a podcast.
I need to get on the Wonder because that's why I want to do the Magic because
Yeah.
I haven't been on those classics.
But man, I'm telling you what, over the last, because like there's days where I walk on the treadmill and there's days where I run on I walk every day, like in the afternoons. And so I've been just checking out like walkthroughs of the Disney Magic, dude, I am so stoked to get on the Magic because it is just a different type ship. I sailed it back in '98, the first year that it was the only ship in the fleet. And that was the last time I was on the Magic. And I'm excited because I think it's going to feel very comfortable, like to the dream and the fantasy, but just a little bit smaller, more intimate. And Paulo on that ship looks amazing. Paulo just looks super cool. I'm really stoked for Paulo and the
I
Tangled
really wish
restaurant.
Disney Cruise Line would just be like, hey, I know your daughter's 17, but like but she will be like accepted as a college student at that point in time. Like, can you just let her in this one time?
Like a pass.
Oh man,
Yes. Me. But also not Art of Animation. Animator's Palette is going to be the classic on that show.
I'm super excited. I think I've said this before. Like I saw like old videos of that, and then when I sailed the Dream the first time, I thought that's what it was going to be, and it's still awesome on the Dream, the class ships. But it's like, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And I was like, oh, that's only on the classics. Yeah. So excited to experience that. But this is like really exciting for me because I wasn't going to sail this. It was Emily's senior year. Now. We just weren't sure what we're going to do, but now I just have cruise fever, man. I just want to sail all the cruise ships right now. So like I was like, this will be perfect. I haven't done the Magic, New Island, and sailing with friends. So
yeah.
It's perfect.
Oh my gosh, we're so much fun. Yeah, we actually changed staterooms because we had a big one booked because we thought the girls might be able to sail with us, but Paige has her they're doing a basketball camp for college or high school kids that week, so she can't come, and then Mallory's got a cheer camp, so she can't come. So it's like, dude, we had like a family veranda. I was like, Pam and I don't need all that room.
That was like another honeymoon for you two.
Oh, like, whatever. Yeah, whatever.
But you two never go anywhere, just the two.
I know. It's the first time. It'll be the first time we've ever gone to a Disney trip without the girls.
I think that's actually going to be kind of great.
Ever. So
I told you via text, we're going to miss Paige and Mallory for sure.
Absolutely
right?
are. Yes, we absolutely are. But yeah, so we just went to a regular old veranda room. Like,
dude, that probably saved you some money too. No doubt.
Big time. I mean, yes, big time.
Yeah, because you knocked half the people off your.
We knocked half the people off in a smaller cabin. So yes, 100% I did. And we're actually down the hall from you now. So we're about 20 staterooms down. And actually, the one next door to us is open if you want to come next door, but it'd be an upgrade. Anyway, but let's take calls. 474-113-9395 on Friday. Now, Scott, you weren't with us, but Pam and Ricky joined me, and we did a show on we drafted because I just wanted to play the do. And I'm bringing this board. Yeah, I'm bringing this board actually down to Give Kids a World this weekend so we can do a draft because it has all my sounds and stuff, and I just want to have fun up for 6 hours. So, but we did a draft of our favorite extinct attractions. So if you have 4 that you would like to chime in on so we can kind of judge your 4, basically kind of like a Mount Rushmore kind of thing too. I mean, you could do it 2 different ways. What are your 4 things you missed the most? I think I went with Pleasure Island. I went with Spectral Magic. I went with Illuminations. And I went with the Citizens of Hollywood. Those were my 4. Now, on another day, I could probably pick some different things. There were some things I missed. But Scott, what would you say some things that would get into your top 4 here of missed attractions? We can hear from our listeners tonight, maybe.
Man, so could you steal others? Like, could I use Illuminations because you had it or no?
I mean, yeah, it's conversation tonight because it's kind of like this is like the breakdown the post show. We're going to do something this coming Friday because it's me and you all week, which, by the way, because Pam's already in Florida, Ricky's got some stuff going on, so it's a Mike and Scott week. So Friday we're gonna kind of do like a PTI style show on Friday.
Okay. Well, I like that.
Have some fun.
This is how well we prepare. Like,
exactly.
Yeah,
Scott doesn't know, but yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be Kornheiser and you're going to be, Wilbon or how it's going to work, but we'll figure it out.
So, I mean, I feel like I got to put Illuminations on that list. I mean, I absolutely love Illuminations. Wishes is so good too. I think you still get enough wishes with Happily Ever After. I feel like, so I would put Illuminations on there. Oh boy, for attractions. So remember I started going in 2011. Like I kind of want to put something crazy. Like I didn't do like a World of Motion, but I feel like I should put something that I experienced. So in that same footprint, I'm going to put Test Track 1.0. Like I really liked the old, Crash Dummy. Like,
do in the queue, or just kind of gave you that beat. Yeah.
And I only did it on our first trip because the next year is when they started refurbishing for 2.0. So I only got to do it 2 times really, but I really loved it. I remember just being crazy about Test Track on that first trip. It could have been from the the trip planning videos, because you would see that all the time on those like videos they would do,
Yes.
like, oh, come
Yes.
to Epcot and ride Test Track, the fastest ride of Walt Disney World.
They really pushed that because that was when I think they were trying to, I think with Test Track, what they were trying to do was that was really in that push to go against Universal and to try to be a theme park, thrill attraction park. Because before that, it was more of like family, slow, dark rides kind of thing. And they're like, oh, Universal's going to be getting the teens and we got to get the teens. And that was where they're really pushing Test Track back in that era.
And not to steal one from the chat, but this is where I was going to go before Mike even shared it. But the Great Movie Ride, like I've said oftentimes that I wish they could have found a way to build like the Mickey and Minnie's and Animators Courtyard, right? And just keep the Great Movie Ride, because it deserves to be right on the end of Hollywood Boulevard and the Chinese Theater. And sometimes you would get the gangster scene, sometimes you get like the cowboy. It was different. The ending the trailers or the trailers in the queue were amazing, but I loved like the video montage clip at the end. It was so good. It was just, it screamed Hollywood Studios, right? Like, and that was back when Hollywood Studios had more like a movie dynamic, but I just loved Great Movie Ride, and I miss that all the time. I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, I think Ricky did that with her first pick.
Oh, did she?
Friday.
Okay.
So
okay.
Michelle, make sure so Ricky doesn't come after you or me. I think that was her first round pick, and she had the first pick overall. So I think that was actually round 1, pick 1. I think that was like the big pick.
Oh, okay, good.
I'll have to go back and review the tape.
That's good. I'm glad someone picked it, because like that was a no-brainer to me, because I feel like they could have kept both. They could have done both, and it just breaks my heart they had to get rid of Great Movie Ride.
But Brian Raymond over on Facebook, who's tuned in with us right here, he has one, and somebody mentioned this over in the Discord too. Again, brguestpodcast.com/clubhouse, where the conversation never stops. I mean, it just never, ever stops. It's like the ongoing after show forever. Somebody mentioned this as soon as the show came out on Friday morning. And I was like, how did we get through 12 picks and this did not get mentioned? Because I was like, this, and it happens every time, right? That nobody mentioned the Osborne Lights. Because you saw the Osborne Lights, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, okay,
yes.
yeah. Because the Osborne Lights were, to me, I loved them. Like, I can't believe I didn't put those in my top 4, because I am a Christmas nut. I mean, I don't know. My family growing up, like a big thing for us was, I mean, my family was one of those families, like we would get in the car multiple times during the Christmas season, like with a jug of hot chocolate, some plastic Solo cups, and just drive around to like what we called like the richer neighborhoods in our town, where they had the better Christmas lights. And we just and we'd look at Christmas lights. I mean, that was like a night for us, because it didn't cost any money. We'd have the big thermos thing with the hot chocolate and put Christmas music on the radio. And so, walking through there was like that on steroids, but it was at Walt Disney World, and you got to not have that on the show was kind of a crime against humanity. So I'm glad that
I kind of agree, and I feel like I would have helped you guys out with that one. because I would have been thinking fireworks shows and things like that, and then you would have already taken like Spectrum Magic, and you would have taken Illuminations, and I would have been out of choices. I mean, like Osborne Lights would have been a no-brainer for me, and like seeing Catastrophe Canyon on here too, like it's just funny. Like we like what Hollywood Studios is doing today, right? I mean, you got some great stuff you still got Sunset Boulevard, that's awesome, but then like Slinky Dog is great. The Galaxy's Edge is awesome, but I do miss a lot of the movie scenes, right? Like I loved Catastrophe Canyon. That was one of my favorite things. You can still kind of see that a little bit at Disneyland Paris if you ever make the trip out there. But yeah, just so many lost things at Hollywood Studios is what I'm starting to get here.
It is.
Any of you put like a restaurant or anything on there, or was it like kind of like just attractions?
We didn't have any restaurants on there. Oh, wait. I think I didn't have any.
I'm surprised you didn't put the ESPN Club.
And that was brought up in the Discord. But actually a lot of people brought that up, like Chris Bach, one of our listeners that's out in Columbia, Missouri. Yeah, there were more than one person brought up ESPN Club because of memories they had made there in the past, like big games. Because I think a place like that, right? You go there for an event and like say your team wins while you're there. Like that's going to be embedded in your heart forever. Like I remember I was at this, you got like the Riv in your town, like, the Greasy Sports Bar or what, I don't know what that is, but like we had a place called Devers on the corner at my old house where we used to live. And like, that was where I was when Yadier Molina hit a home run against the Mets in the playoff. And I'll never forget the table I was sitting at, you know what I'm saying? Like because you make a memory there. And I think a lot of people have maybe a connection like that with a soccer game or some kind of a basketball game or football game at ESPN Club, not just to mention it was a good place to go. So what about, I think this one, look at Nathan Reed on this one. And hey, we're all friends here. Is Lights Motor Action Extreme Stunt Show. Some people liked it. Some people didn't. Because remember Ricky, I think way back, like 10, because our show celebrates 17 years this coming weekend. We're going to celebrate the 17th anniversary. I think about like 15 or 16 years ago, 14, so it was a long, long time ago. She talked about Brian's first trip. They went down to Walt Disney World. Brian fell asleep during this show. And she says it was not his thing. I liked it.
You know whose thing it was?
Whose? Yours?
My in-laws. The first time we took them, this is all they talked about. So, you're back at the airport, you're sitting around for your flight, you talk about memories from the trip or whatever. Like, oh yeah, what did you like? What did you do like? What do you want to do the next time we come? We book another one. All they talked about was Lights Motor Action. That was hands down their favorite thing, and like a 6-night trip that we did. And so I will always remember that because like in the Disney community, we're like, this is not the most popular thing, but my God, they love that.
What I'm seeing here though, okay, so we're getting, just overall for everybody who's listening here on Thursday, just getting the audio that's, listening here. So we're getting things like Catastrophe Canyon. If you went into Catastrophe Canyon, remember the pre-show, Scott knows this well because I think you lost your wedding ring during this scene.
I lost my wedding ring there at the Pearl Harbor.
Right. Yeah. There was a scene at the beginning, like where they took a volunteer, put him out there. You reenacted like you were on like a shrimping boat or something, and like a big old wave of water hit you. But it was pretty cast member intensive, right? You were in a scene and it was driven by like, multiple cast members that had to have some kind of talent to kind of lead a crowd through an experience. We're also getting, like I said, you got somebody saying Mulch, Sweat, and Shears, which was that awesome band that came out. They rocked. I
always think of Len Tester when I hear them, though. But
yes. Well, in what's her name? Married, the lead singer. She's always on. She's kind of famous on, not famous, but she's always on Twitter. I'm kind of friends with her. I got to talk to her quite a bit. But they're married now, and he's actually works for Disney. He was a citizen of Main Street. Actually, he was not a mayor, but he was one of the citizens. But like those things, Disney's moved away from them, obviously, because they're probably costly. I guess, with all these, characters that probably cost a lot. But man, it was like the heart and soul of the park, especially the studios. All right, we have our first call. Let's see. We got who's with us. Who's joining us?
Hey, this is Aaron from Kansas City.
Hey, Aaron from Kansas City. I just watched Cheer Squad from your Kansas City Fearless tear it up today. They did a great job representing your town. What's up?
Oh, well, that's good.
So what's going on out west?
So I was just calling with one of my extinct experiences.
All right, what you got?
So I went to Disney for the first time when I was 4, so this would have been 1994. And the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids play set, or like play area that was in, it was MGM at the time. But for me, that was like a core memory as a kid, was playing in the like oversized play set that they had there with like where it felt like you were, like the size of a bug.
Right.
And just, I distinctly remember it was like a large nose of like a dog where it would like spray water at you. And it was just, I remember that as like a core memory from that trip and I just think like having those sort of experiences for little kids where you can kind of like run off some steam and it's, you're not waiting in line for an attraction was just for me, that was like a core memory as a kid.
So for a while there, they kind of moved totally away from these, and it was basically like a glorified playground, right? Because the kids could climb around on stuff, run around, and it was that spongy type ground where nobody would get hurt if they fell, stuff like that. But it was super themed, because I do remember this, because I think Paige played on this one of our first trips. Like, I'm old. I feel you're like, I played on it. I'm so old. But because I remember where it was kind of back by the back lot.
Yeah.
As I recall, in Studio Catering Company. But they're bringing back all these playgrounds, especially like over at Epcot. They're adding a couple there, but they're kind of cool, but they're not as themed to like a like that thing was hyper themed, like because you're describing
Yes.
it, you know, 20 years later, you climbed up a nose, you had a bug, you were on these gigantic leaves. And I think there was even like misters. There was like some kind of water element in there or something, as I recall, because
Yes.
the page got wet. I wish they would. I know the 90s were different than like 2000s, like when they designed these things, but man, I wish they'd bring that kind of level of theming back. I mean, because like you said, it's a core memory. Like I can't get it out of my head, and I never played it. I just sat there and watched Paige playing it. It was awesome.
Well, and it was kind of funny because there was a discussion about this in the Discord, and like I distinctly remember getting misted from like a dog nose.
Yes,
But then it
that's
was
what
one of those things, like I was so little, I was like, is this like a dream? Like, was this an actual thing? And somebody else in the Discord was like, no, I remember that. And it was just kind of funny because it's like such a distinct, because it was so like well themed and immersive. Like it was a very much like a core memory as a kid.
That's what it was. Because I remember she was like, she got wet. But I was like, I can't remember. And I was like, was it snot? I remember it was something with like out of a nose. Now, Scott, did you ever get to see that, or was that
in Emily's our first trip? Emily played in there. I remember. I think I have a photo of us like next to a giant like Play-Doh thing or something. You know,
Yes.
like I just had this
Or
visual.
was it?
of
Was
that.
it? I think it was. I don't think it was Play-Doh. I think it was like a film canister.
I don't know. Maybe
Was it?
I can't
'Cause
remember.
maybe it was sponsored by
I just
like,
remember that
Kodak.
there's just because it's blew up the place test. So there's like these giant things. I just remember us standing next to something that's really small in real life. I thought it was a Play-Doh, but it could have been whatever. But I just remember her just going to town on that, just having the greatest time because she would have been like 4 years old, you know, and it was just perfect for those kids. And God, I wish they would bring back like I just want to live the 90s over again.
I
You know,
know,
like I said
I
this
know.
today in the mall. Like we went to our Lansing mall, and it's just so run down and boring. I was like, someone needs to buy a mall and just theme it to like how malls were in the 90s. Like how great would that be? But anyway, I'm going down a rabbit hole here. But,
Hey, dude, you're speaking my love language right there. I love put a skating rink in
but
it.
the mall
Let's
was
go.
like there was nobody there, and like I bet you if someone would be like, let's bring back like old Pizza Hut restaurants in this
Oh,
mall, and
stop.
like we'll bring back KB toys or
Oh,
whatever. Like
stop.
could you just imagine like the malls would be popular again?
Dude.
On Pizza Hut, where you could get the it was like the reader thing. I can't think of the name of
Book it,
but like
book
you
it.
read so many books, you got the free pizza.
You gotta make me play the sax.
Yeah, Book It would be great. Like, could you imagine if they did Book It for adults now? Because like people that were like kids back then, like they would go nuts for that, right? Like, oh, like I'm a 40-year-old. Yeah, I read 5 books this month and I get my free pizza. Like, I think it'd be great.
Solve world hunger. Everybody just read. Oh my gosh! You know what? I used to give those things out like crack as a teacher because I was the teacher. I dealt those things, you know, because my kids were readers though. I mean, I don't know if they read the books or not. I guess they said they did, and I was like, you know, free pizza. What's going to hurt? You know, because they gave us a lot of them.
Right.
So is there, Aaron, do you have anything else though besides the playground that you would bring back? Like, I mean, you know, we mentioned some of those other things, but is there anything else noteworthy? That's a great story though. I love hearing things like that, especially little bitty kind of secondary things.
So that one, definitely great movie ride. I mean, that was probably my favorite attraction. Like I went in 94, 2000, 2007, and then 2015, right before they closed it. And then our family went this past summer, but like Great Movie Ride was like that was my favorite attraction in MGM. And I did get a chance to do Minnie and Mickey's this past summer, which I will say if you're going to replace Great Movie Ride, like it's a great attraction, but Great Movie Ride was like probably my favorite ride in Hollywood Studios. So I am sad that it's gone. And then in Epcot, I rode World of Motion as, again, very young. I was like 4. But it was one of those things that, like, just some of the scenes kind of stuck out to me. So kind of that, like, edutainment that Epcot used to be, I kind of miss some of those.
You always hear, though, that, like, things like World of Motion, you know, like Cynthia's in the chat saying, like, things like Discovery Island and Horizons, for example, like they wouldn't make it today. Like today,
yeah,
Americans don't have the attention span. But living with the land, I mean, it never has a huge wait. I mean, except maybe during the holidays when they put the lights in there and kind of jazz it up and give, you know, people a little bit of extra motivation to go in there, maybe take pictures because it's pretty. But I don't think everything at Walt Disney World has to have, like to be successful. I don't think that it means it has to have an hour wait all the time. Like I think it can be a successful attraction and still a majority of its lifespan have a 15 or 20-minute wait. I think Living with the Land is a great attraction, period. It just is. People love it. I don't know.
Especially some of those rides that they don't have a long wait because they eat crowds so fast. Like Ellen's Energy Adventure.
Oh, yes.
We always rode that when we went to Epcot, and it was not a e-ticket attraction, but it's fun, and it's just kind of a nostalgic ride to go through. We went on this 7 or 8 years ago. We're going to do it again. It's just it was a good way to cool down on a hot day. Just, sit and kind of enjoy the ride.
Mallory took some good naps on that one when she was little. It's time for her to take a 47-minute nap. Let's go.
So I like what Aaron is saying here, because I never ever actually gave my fourth answer, and I was going to kind of cheat, but I kind of wanted to just bring old Future World back. Kind of I want
Amen.
So I would love to bring Interventions and the Interventions background loop, which is one of the favorite loops. Bring the old Epcot entrance loop back too, because that was so much better back in the day. Just I would just love to bring Future World, classic Future World, back as my missed attraction in quotes.
Would you bring? Hey, real quick though, would you bring the fountain back compared to what we have now in the middle?
So the middle is kind of cool though, but
I like the fountain. I like fountains in general. I love fountains, in malls. I like Kansas City's ballpark.
That middle area is it's kind of nice though.
It is kind of nice.
I think it's just not going to get utilized enough in the summer because it's going to be too dang hot to be sitting outside there, But
I like the fountain because it had the music, do 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 do. It went to the music.
Well, let's let Aaron decide. Aaron,
yeah,
fountain or the new setup?
Yeah, what would you take?
Oh, I don't know. I did like the old fountain.
There you go. Well, I mean, but this is
but
this
if
is
that
really
means we
unfair.
get old Future World back, then I'm all for it. I just want old Future World.
Yeah, that's true. But see, you made Aaron pick, and she's from the City of Fountains in Kansas City. That's the City of Fountains.
This is true.
I just realized that. That's not a good, it's bad choice there.
But I missed that so much. I just miss walking in the park and hearing that Interventions background loop so much. And then just I don't know, man. And I missed the 90s Epcot, which I'm sure was even better. But even when I started going in 2011, I still thought Epcot Future World was really good back then.
I agree. Well, thanks for the conversation, Aaron. We appreciate it. It's always great having you over in the clubhouse. It's always fun seeing you over there.
Thanks. Have a good night.
All right. Talk to you
Thanks,
soon.
you too.
Bye-bye. All right. We have another call. Our good friend, Eric from out in Connecticut. Eric, what's going on, buddy?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. Say hey to Scott.
Hey, Eric.
Hi, Scott. Sorry I got your name wrong in the chat earlier. That was autocorrect.
No.
It wasn't me, I promise.
Do you know if I had a nickel for how many times I was called Steve, I'd probably have a dollar, but still.
So I do have I have a restaurant that I would like to bring back. I would really like to bring back Alfredo's.
Wow.
And it's for a specific reason. I know it wasn't the most loved one, but when I think of my Disney memories, they all revolve around a person, who I was with, what I was doing, and the reaction, the time I had with them. And Alfredo's is one of those restaurants that is a core memory for me. I was with a friend from college, and our lives were beginning to go in very different directions. We took a trip down, a small group, but mostly the two of us spending time together. And our last meal there was at Alfredo's. We closed the park down. They were cleaning up around us when eventually it was okay, very nicely time to go. And we were there so late that the work lights were coming on in a few of the pavilions.
No way.
They were starting to do a rehearsal inside the American, I can't remember, the American Adventure Theater there. So we had a guard walking us out. And as we passed each World Showcase pavilion, when we got 2 or 3 pavilions away, we saw the lighting behind us change. They're are they turning it off because we're still here? They're yeah, that's why we're trying to get you out. So I guess it's selfish, but I would really like them back for just for me.
But I like that you have that memory, right? I mean, associated with the place. I mean, Alfredo's is where I went for my very first wedding anniversary dinner with my wife. We had our meal there. I remember it. And she was pregnant with Mallory, and I remember there were certain things she couldn't eat. And like it was, I think, some salad she couldn't have, and because of the dressing or something. But I remember that because we were there and she couldn't have certain things, but we had I have a picture of us right at the window there in Alfredo's. Yep. Core memory for me too. Yeah, it's a good restaurant. Good fettuccine.
I did mention specifically Catastrophe Canyon, and it's because of the reason that you brought up. They don't really do these big stunt shows anymore. Catastrophe Canyon wasn't like a lot of people. It was kind of like a whole bunch of preset effects that were going off. But I think that's something the studios lacks right now. Studios still has the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular, but it's nice, but it's the performers. There's not like big explosions and things rushing and stuff flying at the audience. It would be nice to have one show like that back in Disney. The studio seems like the perfect home for it.
I agree. But if you think back in the day, like Universal had a lot of those type shows too, and they've gone the way of the dodo as well. I think it's just kind of it's a shame because, man, we were living in the good times back then. There were so many of those.
We didn't even know it.
You were like immersed, like you were literally in the movie, like you were in the experience. And, you know, I hate to say it, but like, you know, Indiana Jones is kind of hanging on because it's almost like a relic from a bygone era. You know, it's like it was of that era, and I'm glad it's still there because it's great.
I enjoy it so much every time we go.
So do I. But I mean, it's like, I feel like it's, you know, it's just like one of those things. Like I feel like it was with all those other things. You know, it's like it's more of that era than the current era to me. You know, and I love it. I hope it stays.
And it's crazy busy every time.
Yeah, same.
It's like a full house.
I don't say it's nowhere near on life support because when I was down there. And I'll tell more about this in my trip report in about a month. It was full. There were times where you would show up and you could not get a seat. They would say, "I'm sorry, we filled up every seat." So that was heartening to see that people still wanted that.
No, I'm with you. I see that all the time too, but I'm just worried that the only thing I worry about is that I see the number of people that are up on that stage and that some bean counter is going to say, "Oh, that's a lot of actors and actresses," you know, or, you know, that should not be the case.
When you have this guy running away from a big ball and he gets hit every day.
It's awesome. Like, I mean, seriously, like I love it. It's a great show. Cool. Somebody takes a punch, you know. Yeah. You know, I was thought, oh my God, they just knocked out a guest. Like the first time I was there, it was John Pelkey. I didn't even know. Like it was John Pelkey. Yeah. I look back. The race announcer from Run Disney, because I looked back at the pictures, but I was like, oh my God, they just drilled a guy from the audience. I was like, oh my. And the second time I got up on stage.
Yeah, the second time I was up on stage and it was Pelkey. was the director of the show or whatever.
Yeah.
And I've seen Mark Daniel hosted a bunch of times too. Like it's so awesome.
But see, I mean, we're all laughing about it because it's one of those things like you go home, like, you know, a guy from Michigan, a guy from Missouri, like you tell your people like, man, we saw this great show, like the Indiana stunt show. They were knocking people out and people were diving under propellers and the plane was blowing up. Like, that's good stuff. That's why you go to Florida. I mean, they shouldn't get rid of that kind of stuff.
No.
Yeah.
So many things that got rid of at the studios.
Yeah, they did get rid of a lot of classic stuff on the back lot and stuff like that. But, you know, I guess times change.
Yeah. Just rebuild the Golden Girls house somewhere and I think everyone will be happy.
And on that note, we're going to say thank you for being a friend.
All right. Take care. I'll talk to you in a few weeks.
All right. We'll see you, Eric. Take care, buddy. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
So another thing I want to bring back that I have not seen in the chat or anyone talk about, and we saw them at Hollywood Studios at one point too, but they really belong to the Grand Floridian. That's the Grand Floridian Orchestra. Oh my God. I want them back so bad. And I know people love the Red Rose Tavern, but I'd rather have Misner's. Like with the orchestra of Misner's, like that duo, that combo was like a perfect night in Grand Floridian.
So, okay, let's get philosophical here before
it's not Red Rose Tavern either. I think it's Enchanted Rose.
I wasn't going to call you out on it, but I was like, Red Rose, that's my
I caught it right away. So before people start emailing
I'm a good friend. I'm not going to say a word. Because Red Rose is my place out of Disneyland. I love that place. I eat there like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay, philosophical question here. And again, you can call in 407-413-9395. We can talk about anything. Princess,
You
if
need
you're
to talk
down
about the
there.
number change coming up too, though.
Oh yeah, the number. Well, I mean, real quick, Skype's going away on May 5th, and we've been using Skype since the show started back in 2008. And that's kind of the behind the scenes is how we take the calls, which we're just going to use a different thing. So, but I don't think we're going to be able to keep our number. So we'll have to so you have to memorize a new number. I'll have to memorize a new number. So we'll figure that out. But that's not until May. So we got time.
You got time.
Yeah. So I'll just have to make a new lower third, which is bugging me because I forgot how I did
Cinco
that.
de Mayo Day, you lose Skype.
I know. Skype's my buddy. Dude, Skype launched 1 million podcasts back in the day. It's like, what, Microsoft? What are you doing? Anyway, here's my philosophical question. Okay, so we've kind of beat around the bush that a lot of these things that people love, Mulch-Sweat and Cheers, Backlot, Epic Stunt Show Spectacular, all these things had a lot of skilled, talented crews to put them on, right?
Yes.
You can't just get a 16-year-old kid off the street for a lot of these things. Citizens of Hollywood. If COVID wouldn't have happened, okay, say all that stuff in 2020 doesn't happen, do we still have a lot of these things, or was that because I mean, basically, if you look at what happened in 2020, because the parks had to close, the world stopped for a little bit, and there was a hard reset. But do you think if that never would have happened and everything just chugged on, how the world went from 2014 to 15 to 16 to 17 to 18, just went from 2020 to 21, there was not, just flew right through. Do you think we would still have a lot of those kind of things like Citizens of Hollywood and
I don't know, because I think the trend was already going that way, right? We lost Off Kilter, I think, before then, and some of those other great acts. So I think it was heading in that direction already, and it just made it easier, right? This is a cost savings measure, so we have to cut all this entertainment. I don't know if it would have been as severe as it is, but I think we're kind of heading that way. What do you think, Mike?
I think it's a good point, because I think it's a balance of both, right? Because I think it was going, that's a good point. It was kind of going that way before, but when they came out of COVID, there was this huge, because people were worried people weren't going to travel, right? So everybody had to kind of tighten their purse strings, and they had to cut costs. And so obviously they had to scale back, and they were not going to be able to offer everything, they didn't have some resorts open at first. There was, if you think about it, such a weird time, and it's only been, 4 years, 5 years.
5 years, almost to this week.
Yeah.
When,
that's right.
it started happening.
Oh yeah. Man, I do not want to do that again. But there was this time of year. But they had to, right? I mean, you couldn't go back in 100% as to what you had open, because you weren't going to have 100%. You weren't even going to have near the guests. So you weren't going to have, near the revenue. But it is one of those things, I think they also used it for a crutch. If they thought they could cut it, that this was the chance to cut it. And a lot of those things they could have brought back, maybe, that they just, because if you're slow in bringing it back, you just never do it. We could have brought it back. Maybe nobody will notice. And that right there bugs me.
And we'll continue to save money and budget things other ways. I mean, I know how it works, but yeah, it's unfortunate, because those were, you hear this. We're talking about skilled performers, right? We're talking about all these musicians and all these talent, actors, and that's what set Disney apart from other theme parks to me, just the crew and all that entertainment. They're an entertainment company, right? And we lost so much of that, and that's what we all want back so much. Would love to see it.
Yeah, like Brandon saying over on YouTube, as he's tuned in, says 2020 was Disney's excuse to drop many cast members and building projects, which, I mean, again, had to a certain extent, because again, you were not going to have the revenue. I mean, it was severely down because travel was severely down. I mean, travel was restricted for a long time. So I understand that. He said his company did the same. I mean, everybody was in a pinch there for a while, but then Carolyn out on the West Coast, she gives us all the great information on Disneyland, said we used to see the best shows in the Hyperion Theater. We had the Blast. We went to Blast over and over again. We saw the Aladdin show and Step in Time. So again, and Scott just said it. I mean, the thing that I think Scott just mentioned it, that we're getting at, is we lost a ton of talent, I think, in the Disney theme parks. We lost that. I think that's the word. We lost a lot of talent.
Where you still see it, though?
Where do you see it?
on cruise line. You still see a lot of that on
that
cruise
is a
line.
good point.
Because there's like always like musicians out playing, like in the lounges. You got the shows in the theater and like things happening on deck, like near funnel vision and all that. Like you see it still on cruise line, which is why like I feel like I have such a draw to those cast members and those vacations.
That is such a great point. And I think, you know, I'll tell you, this is why I love these Sunday night shows, because we have no idea where we're going to go with this when we open up these shows. Behind the scenes, I call Scott. We talk about anything but the show before the show starts. We talk about our kids. And then boom, we got to start the show at 6:05. And then we start the show. We have no idea. And then we just pick a topic and we go, this is how we talk. But I think it's always kind of interesting. So, because I'd never thought about that, but cruise line, I think it's what the theme parks were maybe 15 years ago, because it's easy. There's not as many things to think about, you know, like with lightning lanes and, you know, these premier lightning lanes now. And, you know, you don't have to like do ADRs. You just go to dinner, you know, the different restaurant every night. You're going to have a fun time. You're going to have a different theme. You have a serving team that follows you along. So that's cool, because they know what kind of drinks you like. They know what kind of dessert you might prefer. You're going to get a great show every night with, like I said, awesome talent. But I mean, the talent isn't just in the Walt Disney Theater. Like you said, they're in the, you know, maybe up on the pool deck playing some music, or, you know, like a comedian that comes into the adult area that night, pops in, pops out, maybe some kind of stomp show, or, you know,
and the new
buckets.
class ships too, they're in the dining rooms too. Like you talk about the Frozen show or the Coco show, like they're out there like entertaining you, like in in the Marvel restaurants too. They're running around. Like, I mean, it's all over those ships, and I love it.
I agree. Especially like the cruise director staff. I mean, I think they don't get the credit either, because that's a team of usually about, I don't know, like 10 people. Because you got the cruise director and then like the team that kind of runs all the activities throughout the ship. And especially the group that kind of, I mean, this is obviously who we see the most, the people who run the activities for the adults. They run the trivias typically, and like the nightly activities and the adult club, you know, the stuff like that, karaoke and the like hypnotist shows and stuff like that. They're so fun, and they're so like witty, and a lot of them can dance. I mean, like,
that's what I'm saying, they're talented.
Yeah, I mean, like, because we had Morgan on our cruise this past summer, like, she would get out there and like do all these awesome like choreographed dance routines. I'm like, she's not just like a club host. Like she had an assistant with her all the time. It was like her and this other guy, and like they did this choreographed dance every night. I'm like, I told Pam, I'm like, this is unbelievable. Like they should have like a TV show. Like they're that good. Like it's unbelievable. But it's so fun. I mean, it's so.
But the good news is we still have, you can still seek this out. Walt Disney World, you got Hoop-de-Doo. You know, there's some great talented people there, and they're all over the theme parks too. But to your point, we have lost and we are seeing it in the chat too. We've lost a lot of it in the last few years, and like, I just hope. Not to sound like a broken record, but Disney is an entertainment company, right? I mean, that is so entertaining. Like, yeah, I want to do all the rides and all that, and that's so much fun, eating the food in the restaurants and all that. But just having a moment, just walking somewhere and like having this interaction with a cast member doing this funny dance or whatever, like the Streetmosphere or whatever, like those are the memories you really walk away with on a Walt Disney World vacation.
And I would think if you're a talented entertainer, you would still want to work for the Disney company, right? Because I mean, of the prestige. Like I worked at the Magic Kingdom, or I was an entertainer at Epcot or the studios. Like that would still have some like weight to it. Like because you would have just this audience that's built in. Like how cool. I mean, you're going to make magic like just being there. I mean, it would just be it's not an honor, but such an opportunity, I guess you could say. So, and Brandon over on YouTube also says, you know, COVID brought around some good things too. Like, I mean, you were a huge fan of the cavalcades.
I love the cavalcades. Yeah, those are so good. Like you kind of see like a little parade and World Showcase. Like I unfortunately I wasn't there for the the 2000 millennium, so I didn't get to see Tapestry of Nations. Well, that would be a great one to bring back.
Somebody mentioned that in the clubhouse too.
Let's just bring back old Epcot. Is really what it comes down to.
Oh my God, Epcot like at 1999 to 2000 was so awesome. Like right.
But Eric was talking about like a restaurant, and like I couldn't think of like a restaurant per se. Like I would like the theming of the Pepper Market better than what they have right now at like Coronado. But
yeah,
I said this a lot, but like I would love for them to bring back the old counter service at Be Our Guest. Like I thought that was so much better than having it like be like a heavy signature meal at lunch. They kind of did that with like Le Cellier, like back in the day with the dining plan change too. Like it was just so cool. It gave people opportunities to go in there that didn't want to spend signature dollars and have like a sandwich and tour the castle, right? And it just felt like that was more available to more guests that way. And I thought that was a miss when they had to change that.
I agree with that because like you said, it gave opportunity to more people to get inside and see that environment. Because that environment inside the BR Guest is
great.
amazing. I mean, it's a shame. Probably this is like an over/under question, right? People go into the Magic Kingdom. How many people ever get to go inside BR Guest is probably 15. It's probably 10% or less. I'd say it's under 10.
But it's funny, like we went there. I think it was on spring break, like last year, and they still have a problem with like getting people in there. Like that, even they have reservations because people take so much time during that meal to like walk around and like visit all the rooms. And that's over 10 years old now. I think close to, right? Like when that, it is over 10 years.
It's got to be.
I think it was like 2014 or something or 15 when that opened.
Yeah,
and it's crazy how much love that gets, even like for people that have the ADRs, how long they spend their time in that meal because they just love soaking in that environment.
Hot take about New Fantasyland. I think there's a lot of things that because it's dead in the middle of Magic Kingdom, right? But there's like Be Our Guest. I think a lot of people walk past it and don't even know it's there. I think Enchanted Tales with Belle is exactly the same thing. Like you can walk like right through the Magic Kingdom and never see that attraction, and it's dead in the center of the park.
It's tucked away for sure.
It's dead, like in the footprint of the park. It's dead in the middle. But I mean, you can never even know it's there ever. It's the weirdest thing. It's so weird. One of those other things is the flotillas. Those are pretty cool. I mean, they served a purpose. They're kind of neat.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm really learning is like we've lost a lot of things, but you always get something new in return.
That was inventive.
So we're not talking about like look at the things we've gotten. We got Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Rewind, Galaxy's Edge. I mean, we got so many great things too. But I know like nostalgia is a big thing with Disney fans like us. So like we hold on to those old things. Because there was one I saw that I agreed with that you didn't share, I don't think, but like I loved Kite Tales. I know that space in Animal Kingdom, like it really struggles, like trying to find like something to be there from the Lion King show to what was the one?
So like, Rivers of Light that had its glorious 3 showings. Yeah.
And then like I don't know if you ever saw the Kite Tales, man. I never did. Funny, man.
I mean, I saw the memes. I didn't see the show, man.
But yeah, I think someone even commented like, but man, if you were like in the baking sun in that theater, like watch out. That was like a not pleasant.
Yeah, no. That's a hard pass for me. I am not doing that. No. Brandon's right though. COVID did, because before COVID, like mobile order was like the cheat code. I remember because like I was using it and nobody else was. You just walk up, get your food. People are like, how you getting that food? Not telling. Exactly. Once everybody use it, secret's out. And Cynthia said, Jennifer Hudson started on Disney Cruise Line, right? And she's a rock star now. So. And like Carolyn says,
let me ask you this, Mike. Like, because we're talking about like things we lost or forgotten attractions or whatever. Like, what do you feel about like Disney Springs versus Downtown Disney? Like, I think I've come to love like Disney Springs a lot more than the old Downtown Disney. I don't know
exactly what I was going to say, because I did not like it at first at all compared to Downtown Disney.
Yeah, I used to be like, I really miss Downtown Disney. Yep. Like, this is confusing. Like, yep. Like you said you had Pleasure Island on your old list too, which would have been a Downtown Disney thing. But Disney Springs has come to grown on me a lot over the last few years.
It has. It's so funny you said that, because that's exactly where I was going to go. Like I used to like Downtown Disney because it had Disney Quest and it had like, I mean, it was like I'm old. Like I remember the old Virgin Mega Store, which is like a big record store, music store, and it had like the Gloria Estefan restaurant, which I never went to, but it had just. I like the old world of Disney better back in the day. It was set up differently. It's like your old analogy with the 90s mall. It felt like a 90s mall, kind of like an outdoor Florida 90s mall-ish model. And Disney Springs now kind of feels like it's hip and it's cool. And it kind of reminds me of like a Miami kind of feel. Like especially when you're on that strip over there by like Uniqlo and over by like Polite Pig, that reminds me like I'm walking through like some rich part of Miami or something. I don't know. That's my flawed feeling. Right before you go into that covered part by the Coke store.
But it's grown. It
has. There's a lot, because there's like a lot of live entertainment. There's like a heartbeat to it. It's fun. Like I do like it, but yeah, it grew on me over the last few years. But I think when they built that other bridge to kind of make it easier to walk across to the marketplace to the west side, that helped a ton by Paddlefish.
And the restaurants. I mean, I think the restaurants are some of my favorites. Are there from like Boathouse to Haleo and God, I don't want to even list them all. And if at Homecoming, I mean, there's so many great like lunch spots, and I like some of the unique shopping there too. Some of those like some of those not like a Roller Disney, but like the co-op shop is kind of cool. You can
Mhm.
feel like find some cool artwork and things like that too. So it's just yeah, it's I disliked it so much. We would never go like those first couple of years. Like we would never went to Disney Springs. And
Yeah, I was
now
totally
like
missing it. It
I
was
find myself
lacking.
going there a lot more now. For
Yeah, it
sure.
was. There's live entertainment. Like you can always find somebody
Oh
playing some kind of
yes.
musical instrument. Like especially over by
Mhm.
Boathouse or over by the Coke store. There's usually a little stage going on by the
Yeah. And like and
movie
school
theater.
groups will go there too. Like it was funny, we're on our plane from the Wish and we're getting seated and I kind of you watch people come in, like you get seated first in the front, you get to see all the people come on the plane. Then you start wondering like how big is this plane? Like I've seen so many people walk by. And I look up and someone says, "Hey Scott." And I'm like, who's saying my name? It was like my old boss. And I was like, "Oh, hey, Lauren! Like, really great to see you. What you're doing here?" And like, her daughter like performed at Disney Springs,
Right.
and like did like a solo like on that stage out there. I'm like, that's cool, you know. So sometimes you'll see like professional or like not school age musicians out there, but it's cool like to see the kids come out there too and play.
Yeah, we actually had a friend of ours. Her daughter, their dance team did a little dance on that
Hmm.
stage at Disney Springs.
The
Like
Millers, I think, right? Like I
yeah,
think
oh, the
maybe.
Millers
Right.
did, yeah, but also this teacher at Pam's school that we were down for
Oh,
another
okay.
trip, and they also performed there too. Yeah, I mean it's a great little venue. I mean because maybe you're not going down for like Summit or something, but you get to perform in front of all the people outside of World of Disney. Yeah, it's a
But I
great
never
place.
thought I'd say that I like Disney Springs more than downtown Disney, but I can confidently say that now. I just
Yeah,
maybe I had to get older and mature or something, like I don't know.
but I
But
mean maybe Disney Springs had to mature too. You know what I'm saying? It's
I
like
yeah,
finding
I think you're
it's
right. Yeah.
finding it's finding its niche. And shout out to a DisneyWorldAfterAll.com who just tuned in over on Instagram.
Oh,
I think
hey, we
I think
know them.
we know her. We have a question here, real quick. I want to get to it before we get off the air. From M Brown 27 says, "Hey guys, love the show. We are Disney World experts. We don't have a clue about Disneyland for upcoming spring break trip for 4 nights. Can you share your best tips, including must-do restaurants?" So let's just give a couple must-do restaurants for M Brown going to Disneyland for the first time. So
So
go
must do
table
restaurants.
service.
It's funny. I had this conversation today with Elizabeth because one of our friends on the Discord is like at Disneyland and they're kind of like a foodie and they're kind
Yep,
of like, I don't know how I feel about the food out here. And I will say like the table service to me is not as good at Disneyland as it is in the world, but the counter service is kind of like where you're going to find more of your gems
I
at
agree.
Disneyland.
Yep. So
You agree? Yeah,
because I'm more of a counter service guy. So like
you are.
it's
Yeah.
so Disneyland is like more my style because like there's a lot of good counter service you can just bounce around to and grab quick stuff, and that's my jam. So give a couple good table service recommendations. I'll give a couple counter.
So again, like so table service is rough for me at Disney, but I really like storytellers, especially for breakfast. Like that's where I was introduced to chilaquiles,
Oh, those are
which
rocking.
is
I
good
didn't even
fun.
know
But
what that was, but they were so good when we went together. Oh
yeah,
man.
so like and so I mean I've had chilaquiles other places now, and I think you can get them at other places at Disneyland even. But for me, like kind of like going back to Eric, like when you have this memory or whatever, like that will always be the home of chilaquiles for me. And I don't even know if I'm saying it right, honestly. But that is such a great spread. They have like this great like bread pudding on there too. They got a carving station, and you see the characters too. And plus the beautiful Grand Californian hotel. So I had to, if you're gonna do a breakfast, you have to do Storytellers Cafe for me.
Now, did you do Napa Rose? Because they were doing Napa Rose.
I have not done Napa Rose. That's one I have not. They actually, I think they do like a princess breakfast now too, which is kind of different. So they open up for breakfast too. I've not done Napa Rose. I mean, my favorite signature is no longer there, and that was Steakhouse
Yeah.
55 at the Disneyland Hotel. I absolutely love that. But I'm a big fan of Carthay Circle. And I know, Mike, you and I did the lounge area
Yeah.
a couple years
Just
ago,
some apps.
which was fine. It was good. It was kind of like small plates. You have a good time there. But if you can book like the restaurant too, I think that's really good. And then the light the Lamplight Lounge is also another one of my favorite spots. If you can snag one of that, really great view, really good menu offerings and cocktail menus. So if you can get Lamplight Lounge at DCA, that'd be another great suggestion.
And again, this is also table service, but it's very casual. Again, the person we're speaking about wasn't a huge fan of the food here, but I am because it's not about the food, it's about the ambiance. It's Blue Bayou in the Pirates of the Caribbean. It's kind of the essence of Disneyland. You're sitting there
Oh yeah,
inside Pirates. you hear the sounds of the boats going by.
There's something about you have
the
to like be in
banjo.
that restaurant because of that. Yeah.
But it's simpleton food. I mean, really, like, I mean, you get a Monte Cristo with some, I think, like fries or something, and like you can get a hurricane. I mean, but that's like my jam.
They
Like,
have the hurricanes on tap.
they were hurricanes on tap, so they're not fancy. Like, and I'm not fancy, so it was like totally up my alley. I was like totally fine with that. I was there with my buds, my family, so it was totally great. And also, we did the exact same meal at Cafe Orleans, and it was fine. Same thing, not fancy. But, it's just the thing with counter service around Disneyland is just explore. There's just one of the places to go is to go over to DCA over to San Francisco. And there's basically kind of like a food court. There's like a place where you can get basically like Chinese food. There's a place where you can get Mexican food, and it is all good. I mean, it is all good. Also, Red Rose Tavern. I love that place. We mentioned that a minute ago back in Fantasyland. I love that place in Disneyland. You can't go wrong. I mean, just look.
I really like getting like the soup bowls, like in the
Harbor
French
Galley.
Market area. I don't think it's called French Market. It might be called like Tiana's now, but like really love getting those. I mean, Rancho del
Zocalo, yeah.
I mean, that's like I go there every other day, I think, when I'm at Disneyland. I just love going there. I love the views of Big Thunder. That's the thing about Disneyland counter service too. Like that I like almost better than the table service because there's so much outdoor seating and it's beautiful weather. It's so comfortable outside there. So like I just love eating outside and just taking in that atmosphere of just being in Disneyland Park. So that's why I kind of lean towards counter service even more just because of that.
Yep. And Carolyn out there on the West Coast says Disneyland Plaza Inn for the chicken, Hungry Bear for the counter service. Haven't tried the food at Tiana's place. Oh, so I was at Tiana's Palace actually, and I had what did I have? It was super good. Oh, I had the catfish po' boy, like platter.
Okay.
And it came with like rice and beans and stuff. Oh my gosh, it was super good. And bonus, because you're sitting like outside under like this tent thing. And the jazz band came and like jumped on the stage while I was eating. And the jazz band played like 3 songs. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah. Going back to that entertainment, you see a
but
lot more of that at Disneyland.
And they were good. They were so good. I mean, I'm from St. Louis, like we have jazz.
And I know Carolyn's talking about Flo's V8. Like, I feel like their menu has like gotten worse a little bit over the years. I don't know why. That's kind of I feel about it. Perfect location too. Like I just love Flo's. And Beth, our friend Beth, is 100% right. I will always tell everyone you got to go to DCA for the corn dog. Do not get it at Disneyland. I think the Little Red Wagon is like just overhyped, and I think it's actually different in DCA. So that's if you want to get a corn dog, that's where I would go personally.
I had a corn dog in each. I think last time I had a churro.
And there's like there's a like in Frontierland. I can't think of the name of it. There's a like the stage door or something like that.
Yeah. Stage door.
Like they have a really good corn dog there too. That I think I like better than the Red Wagon.
It's got to be the same corn. They got to be making them in the same place because those things are so close together.
I know, but I just have this thing where I think it's different.
They got to be coming out of the same fryer. Those 2 places, Red Wagon and the stage door, those things have to be coming out of the same fryer because they have to be like 200 yards apart.
A taste test.
I think so. I think next time we'll totally have to do that. Yeah. And Carol says, for downtown Disney, of course, Earl of Sandwich is a good choice. Let me finish off. She also agrees Storyteller's awesome for dinner, and V8, Flo's V8 over there for sit down. And
you're basically like named off like every restaurant. Yeah. So basically, you're not going to go hungry.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You could eat well at Disneyland.
And then my favorite Disneyland snack, even though I like beignets better at French Quarter in at Walt Disney World, like you got to get the Mickey beignets at
they're so good
at the Mint Julep bar.
Yes, but if you want a savory one, you got to get that pretzel brat thing back across. It's Edelweiss Snacks. It's across from the Matterhorn.
I just want all the Disney.
That thing is so heavy. I had it twice. Oh, that thing was a belly buster. Oh my gosh, it was so good though. It was a brat that was wrapped in a sourdough or a pretzel with mustard, and I can't remember what it was. It was wild, and it was a mess. I just know I shouldn't have had it, and I had it twice, but it was I didn't care. That's why you go out there. Oh, and she said don't forget Trader Sam's. Yes,
see, I like going to Trader Sam's too, and I mean Disneyland's Trader Sam's is the Trader Sam's in my opinion, but I love the Carolyn can help me here. I can't think of the restaurant.
Tangaroa Terrace.
Yeah, I love that place. And you can order some of the things from there at Trader Sam's, or afterwards you can just go next door and order. Definitely I like that. I like that place a lot, actually.
All right, well, we're going to call it a show because Scott and I are going to be together this week on Wednesday and Friday. Listener questions coming your way on Wednesday and Friday. We're just going to have some Disney topics. We're going to bounce off each other and see where we stand on those topics. And of course, then on Saturday, we'll be on the air for 6 hours straight, 10 to 4. So join us for that. Real quick, though, just so you know, the auction has started. We have over 5 pages of items to check out right now. So go to Be Our Guest Podcast on Facebook. It's a pinned post right there. You can see all the stuff that's up there. We have posters. We have autographed Kingdoms Keepers books. We have tons of Disney pins. We have stuff from the Disney ships. We have stuff from the Disney Treasure. We have stuff from the Disney Wish. We have stuff from Lookout Key. If you are a Disney cruise line fan, you can get in on that stuff. We have collectibles from extinct Disney attractions. We have stuff from the Halcyon, from the Galactic Star Cruiser that you had to go on the Star Cruiser to get. I mean, if you are any kind of a theme park fan, Disney Cruise Line fan, movies fan, if you like those Funko Pops, collector, it's all on there. I mean, we have Dooney and Burke bags. We have those. What's the other one? Not Dooney and Burke. We have those. What's the other kind? Vera Bradley's. I mean, I can't even keep up. It's crazy. So just go to the Be Our Guest Podcast Facebook page. Check out all the items. You just go to the menu in the upper left-hand corner once you click on the auction site and hit browse items, and you can check everything. I mean, Scott, when I was looking at that, and I mean, just so many cool things that our listeners have donated. Give Kids a World have put up there for us. And of course, we're just raising money for Give Kids a World. You can put a donation in there as well. It's already started, and it will go through 3:30 on this Saturday, March 8th. Can't wait.
I think we know why Disney World After All was in here, probably to make sure you said that, right?
Exactly. Monitoring.
So I have not looked, and all that stuff sounds so great. And I'll just say, like, bid early, like don't wait, like start bidding now, and if I recall, if it's the same setup as previous years, you can put like a max bid out there too. So you can kind of think about that and plug that in there so that, I mean, I was battling with a listener last year on the Bluetooth speaker, and I was live, so I couldn't. I was struggling, so I had to like bump my bid up like at a higher dollar, and then I think Thomas, and like he just snuck in there last minute and got the Bluetooth speaker from me, and I hope he enjoys it very much.
He's listening right now in his bathtub, I'm sure.
Yep.
To the show. That's awesome. Yeah, okay.
But that's the beauty of it, because we're just helping those families, right? So getting outbid is part of the fun. It really is.
And there's actually a button right at the top. You can donate $20, and what that $20 is, pizza for a family for a week at Give Kids a World. Right there, it tells you what your money's going towards. $100, I think, is like ice cream for a whole group of folks for a week at Give Kids a World for breakfast. I mean, it's just it's really cool. Just swing by there, and just the bottom line is we're just trying to help people out, and these families have been dealt some bad cards, but you can help ease their pain. So let's do that this Saturday, but we can start right now and just get the ball rolling and just kind of celebrate it all through Saturday afternoon. So join us on Saturday, 10 to 4. We'll be broadcasting live in all the places, just like we do: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. But if you're in the Central Florida area, we got permission from Give Kids the World. Swing by the Village and come and see us. I'll have some Be Our Guest Podcast stickers to give out. Swing by, say hello to Pam and Ricky. We'll be there. Scott will be there remotely. We'll let you jump on the camera and say hey. And we'll be having a good time. So we'll see you on Saturday for that. We'll have the shows leading up to that this week as well. Don't forget, our show is brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure for no additional cost to you. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. When you do that shopping, it really does help us out if you click through there. And our Patreon supporters are our all-stars. You keep us on the air. You really do help us out. It's $5 a month. And for that support, you get a bonus show called Mike in the Midwest. Come over this week. We'd sure love to have you at patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. You can give me a follow on the social media at Be Our Guest Mike on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. You can follow Scott at Epscott, EPSCOT, but more importantly, give him a follow and go over to YouTube to Must See Adventures, because new content right now. We're going to Fort Wilderness. So Scott, I know that the Tetlow family they're on YouTube and they're on Instagram. Elizabeth's on Instagram. It looks like, who was it? I'm going back. They have two accounts here going. Bruce was on YouTube. So the whole squad is tuned in, but they're letting us know that they loved episode 1 of the Fort Wilderness videos.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they're getting ready to watch episode 2. So Scott, tell us what's happening on Must See Adventures.
Yeah, so a new series started. So it's our Thanksgiving series, and we call it Thanks Lizzing sometimes because that's Liz's birthday was on Thanksgiving last year. So we check into the fort. We on this new episode, so we do a little overview of the new cabins, which those are beautiful. Spoiler alert. And then we give our first impressions on Tiana's Bayou Adventure. We do one last ride, most likely on the Rivers of America, on the Liberty Bell. So got a lot of footage of that, and just hanging out and having a good first couple days. It was a very tired. I was very tired.
I saw your
in
post.
those episodes.
I saw your
Have you-
post. Grumpy
yeah.
and sleepy.
Yeah, not sure if you watched it or not, but you can tell I was a little tired. But and I wasn't at one point. I wasn't even gonna record anymore. I was just like, nope, I'm not gonna record. Like I'm grumpy, but like Liz got and said, no, Scott, like people like watching, like get it together. So like I strung it together. So I didn't have a lot of content for those first couple of days, so I combined them into one. I hope everyone is enjoying them. And yeah, so hopefully we'll have day 3 / episode 2 here very soon.
Bottom line is, you could thank our wives for pushing us through for all this stuff.
I know. I gotta admit though, I watched it and like sometimes I'm really critical and I'm like, oh, I didn't like that episode. Some episodes I like better than others, but I thought this one turned out pretty good considering like I wasn't like in the best state like recording this, and I thought it turned out really well. So would love to hear some feedback, and yeah, like and subscribe for sure.
I am watching it on the treadmill tomorrow afternoon is
Nice.
the plan, because we've been watching cheerleading all day today because it got pushed back by a day because of the events. But yes, that is the plan. So yeah, I can't wait. So a lot of golf carts in the series coming up.
There's gonna be a lot of golf carts. You definitely see some looping in this episode too. Looking at some nighttime loops. Looking at I think there's ones that I mean, you'll see, Mike. Just like it's just crazy. I love the decorations at the fort for sure.
I'm loving it. And Jason,
Droid to the world. That was one. It was like Droid to the world with like some Star Wars droids.
so
sweet.
Awesome. And as Jason and Veronica say over on YouTube, dinner and must see adventure. Woo! There you go. Woo!
I love it.
Like who's that wrestler? Woo! Okay.
Ric Flair.
Ric Flair. Woo! There we go.
Woo!
All right. So we are going to get out of here and wish you a great Sunday night. If you're tuning in with us live, we hope you have a great rest of your weekend, the last few hours that are left. And if you are tuned in on Thursday, we just wish you a great Friday coming up, and we'll be with you on tomorrow with the show. And again, join us all day on Saturday. We're going to have a good time together, making a lot of magic together. So for Scott, I'm Mike, wishing you a great week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.